starting at verse 8, running through verse 12. The Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod, and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. I'm going to stop there for a moment. Sounds simple enough. But you got to ask yourself, first of all, do you have the faith to believe? God says, okay, when he says you want a miracle, it's like, he wants a miracle. Throw your rod down. Not even Moses, you just tell Aaron, Aaron, throw your rod down, and it'll become a snake. Can you really believe that? So you believe it. That's a whole different set of issues. Well, this is also pertinent because God will tell you to do something. If you have a relationship with God, he's going to tell you to do something that is contrary to everything you know and believe. Everything you understand. Why? Because God's supernatural. You have a relationship with God, he's going to ask you to do the supernatural. Because where his eyes, his ears, his feet, or his hands in the earth. So it's like, can you believe when he says, you tell Aaron, throw your rod down, it'll become a snake. Then a whole bunch of different questions come up. If you can actually believe that. Okay, what do I do with the snake? What am I going to do with the snake? What if it bites me? I got a problem. What if it bites Pharaoh? I got an even bigger problem. What am I going to do with the snake afterwards? I throw it down and just walk away? What do I do? What do I do? See, if you can actually believe him, then the next point kicks in is like, really it's a question of, I need to know more. And God didn't decide that he didn't need to know more because he didn't tell him anything more. Because it comes down to not just faith, but trust. Do you trust God that the rod he says is going to turn into a snake is going to be a problem for you? Hey, that's the deal, right? And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh. I'm sure that they had an interesting discussion before this happens, but anyway. Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh, and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Okay, that part's working good. So I'm sure they're feeling pretty good about this. But what happens next? You don't know what to expect. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and sorcerers, plural. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. Uh-oh. I got one snake, but they got multiple snakes. So what do I do about that? See that old control coming back in. So what do I do about that? Right? And so what do you do? Well, you better start praying. That's what you better do. Verse 12. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents, and Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. God did the unexpected. Well, those were sticks, right? Now they're snakes. No, God wouldn't create snakes, right? Snakes are nasty critters. Goes all the way back to the garden. The snake deceived Eve, right? No, God wouldn't work with snakes. Yeah, he does work with snakes. Your sense of religion might think, no, he won't work with snakes, but that's exactly what he does. He will mess up your sense of religion every time. And Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. It's like, okay. Yeah, they're all swallowed up, so my snake's bigger than your snake. Sounds like but you still got a snake. Well, obviously they figured that out. What's the point? Be careful what you ask for. That's the point. Yes, you want God to use you? He'll use you. But he's not going to use you in a way that you are comfortable with. And he's not going to give you everything to be comfortable. Because it's never about being comfortable when you're being used by God. It's about being focused on God, not being comfortable. It's not knowing and understanding. It's not believing him for the natural. It's believing him for the supernatural.
Amen.
Now, every one of you has some kind of problem in your life today. And that's the nature of life. Every one of us. The question isn't whether you got problems. The question isn't even if you got solutions. Because if you had solutions, probably you wouldn't be sitting there with the problems. Okay? So, what is our choice? Our choice is we can either sit here with our problems, which we can't solve, or we can get into the presence of God and trust Him for a supernatural solution. But be careful. Chances are it won't be anything like you expect. Number two, it'll be completely out of your control. And number three, it'll be a better solution than you conceived of yourself. Now that's really the issue. That's what this message is about today. It's like, do you serve God? Do you trust God? Because if you trust Him, He won't just do a natural thing, He'll do a supernatural thing. But He'll show you that He's in control and that you're not. Don't expect to know the end from the beginning. He'll show that to you when you get there. He wants you to trust Him. And that's my message.